Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, right now, as I speak to you, looking out that window, the sun is beaming down and there's all birds are tweeting. But this is January in the UK, January the 20th. It should be perishing cold. Little secret, it is. It's fucking freezing. But it's lovely and sunny and brisk and bright and a big blue sky. But I know that when I go out with the dog, a husky, of course, who doesn't care what the weather does, as long as it isn't tropical sort of heat, we go out and I'll be dressed like this, but within 10 minutes, maybe half an hour, that weather will have changed. A new weather front will have come in. I always call these things, you see them on the weather maps, on the news reports and all the weather forecasts, the isobars and stuff comes in, like, I call them Zac Efrons. I don't know why, it just sounds like a meteorological term. No offence to the actor, but you know, the Zac Efrons come moving in and converge and suddenly it's a deluge. You've got 89 feet of rain in like 5 seconds flat. You've got blizzards and avalanches, you've got all sorts. It can turn that badly. Now, where I am right now, living in the leeward side of the Snowdonia Mountain Range in North Wales, we're sheltered. I've talked about this a lot, in passing, made reference to it all. Living on the Wirral Peninsula, right opposite Liverpool. Big River Mersey and the Irish Sea and the Mersey Estuary. An island just over there, and then the Atlantic, and then obviously New York is somewhere over there. But for most of my life living around this area, although I've lived all around in many different places, but predominantly here, it's been sheltered, it's been mild. But the last few years, as we all know, whether you believe Greta Thunberg or whatever, things are changing. And we've done it, but they are changing. The climate is different, and we've had ultra mild winters for so long and been sheltered. But what has happened lately in the last 2, 3, maybe 4 years, we've become like Storm Alley, Cyclone Lane, Tornado Alley. There's a channel going up from southern England, which comes up through the Midlands, and it whisks out through this peninsula and Merseyside area with the most ferocious winds. Regular viewers know, long-standing viewers know that we had such a huge debacle with our conservatory roof, taking flight all the time, and me having to go and like scavenge in the fields and find all the panels and bring them back and gaffer tape them down, because you couldn't find any actual guide to repair them properly. And this happened so many times you wouldn't believe. It's all right now. We've got a whole new conservatory last year. In fact, exactly a year ago, we got a whole new conservatory. So it's all fantastic. Long way to last. And all that stuff, But touch wood. But my point is how weather changes so drastically when you don't expect it to. You should never go out into the wilds and the wilderness without checking the forecast and listening to people that know in the area and really taking on board what they say, because the weather, you go higher altitudes, the weather changes. If I could click my fingers, I would do, but I can't. No, I just can't do it. Sorry about that, but weather changes dramatically and severely and with deadly bloody intent. So you go up there, you're not dressed for it, you haven't got provisions for it, things are going to take a very, very severe turn for you. You might not make it out alive. Now, what am I talking about? This is a follow-on from the video I did yesterday about the actor, the British actor, Yorkshire-born, 65-year-old Julian Sands. A Room with a View, The Killing Fields, War Loss, Arachnophobia, many other movies. an experienced mountaineer and climber living now in Los Angeles with his wife. He's got 3 kids, and he's a 65-year-old man, but he's an intrepid explorer. And on Friday the 13th, so only exactly a week ago now, he trekked out, lone wolf style, drove out to the Baldy Bowl mountain area in California, heading towards Baldy Mountain. Baldy Mountain rises to 3,900 feet. To give you some kind of estimation on the size of that for people in the UK, Mount Snowdon in North Wales, which I have run up and down several times in a day. Did it for charity, did it in training as well, done it many times. I've done all the mountains in the UK, I've done the 3 peaks several times. But you know, that's notwithstanding, it means nothing compared to what's happened to someone who's gone hiking and encountered, well, we're going to go into this. But Mount Snowdon is 3,000, I think, 550 feet. So it's below Baldy Mountain, but not by too much. The point is that the mountain size, it doesn't have to be Everest, you know, for the weather to change dramatically and leave you really in a bad predicament where you can't see your hand in front of your face. You don't know which way's up, which way's down. You've got no idea where you are, and hypothermia sets in and you cannot see a thing. And you're trying to bed down and trying to find shelter, which you're not going to find. When that happens, a world of hurt doth open. Now, the point is, I made this video yesterday about highlighting the disappearance of Julian Sands, and a lot of people have got on to me about this. A lot of people seem very concerned, and rightly so. Anyone that goes missing, we should all be concerned, and we should all go out and search if you can. Now in America, when you've got these places where people do go missing a lot in national parks, and I'm not going to go into the whole rabbit hole of the missing 411, not in this video. I've already mentioned this. We'll save all that. This is just a recap and an update on what's happened to Julian Sands. But when people go missing in these places, particularly in America and Canada, all the locals come out. The sheriff's departments, you've got the search and rescue teams who come in from different towns and hamlets, sometimes different states. National Guard comes in. They even bring out prison inmates in some occasions to help do the search and rescue. Obviously not from the the paedophile and mass murdering wing. Don't use them. Can't risk them getting loose in the forests. But and the families themselves of the people who've gone missing will often fund their own privately run search and rescue missions, and it's a desperately sad time, of course, and until a body is found, there's never going to be closure. You want to find them alive and well, get them back, bring them back home. If that's not going to be possible, you want to find the body, and then at least it's over and you find out how they died. Terribly sad, but at least you've got that. But the amount of people that are not found, it's room for concern, shall we say, with all the techniques that we have at our disposal now. Thermal imaging, capturing their details via GPS and transponder, and their phone, their mobile phone. We're going to come on to this. And using tracker dogs, canines, cadaver dogs, they can track a scent anywhere. And I said it in the previous video, and I'll say it again right now. 99.999% of people who go missing in these places, these rural areas, and the search and rescue goes out on force, helicopters, planes, all sorts. They're found. They might not be found alive, but they're found. And most people are found within the first day, certainly. And they're not too really far from where they've been, but the weather's come in, and fog, snow, rain, whatever, they've been drifted off the path, lost their bearings, and just hunkered down. But they're found at least. Now, in the case of Julian Sands, on Friday the 13th, which is exactly a week ago, he went off to Baldy Mountain, something he'd done before. His wife and family knew he was going to do this. He wouldn't be gone for too long. Now, what I neglected to mention in the previous video was that his car was found. His car was found completely snow covered, and there's footage of it. The San Bernardino Sheriff's Department have got it, and they're carting it off. But it was found at the trailhead. What kind of surprises me a little bit about this, it was found at the trailhead to the Baldy Bowl area of Baldy Mountain, San Gabriel Mountain Range. See, in the UK, we have just Mount Snowdonia. In America, one mountain bleeds into several other mountains and a whole range and different sheriff, areas. So this America always seems to have too many things involved in one small area. But it is what it is. And so his car was found on the 19th. Now this is the thing, folks. The news broke in the UK and in fact worldwide yesterday morning. So the 19th of January. He went missing on the 13th at approximately 7:30 in the evening. That's when he's reported as being missing by his wife. And so it took all that long to report this. He's a big actor, and no one thought to mention it. And then I'd seen even yesterday that his car was found, but I really assumed his car was found straight away. He was going to Baldy Mountain in the Baldy Bowl Trail. Where are you going to park your car? At the trailhead. That's where it's going to be. That's where he found his car. How come they didn't find his car till the 19th? Yesterday? 6 days after he'd gone missing? He didn't park it off track. He didn't drive into the woods. He didn't drive to the base of the mountain. He was in the trailhead where you would normally park. So, I'm not, again, folks, I'm not trying to cast aspersions. I'm just, really? It took you 6 days to find his car. The search for him was hampered by the fact that the weather came in. They searched the first weekend. So the 13th was Friday the 13th. Say no more. They tried to search Saturday and the Sunday, and obviously the weather came in really catastrophically. And you can't endanger more lives. You just can't do that. So they're going to pull back the teams and wait for the weather to lift. You can still use helicopters and drones, which they were doing. Helicopters and drones, probably plane flybys with flare as well, for looking for heat, thermal registers, and finding nothing again. And then resume when the weather lets up, and you can actually put people out on the ground again with dog teams and all sorts of stuff. That's what you need to do, and do your proper grid patterns and move out exponentially. But you've got to cover the area that he was meant to be on, and then go out and out and out, but go further and out and out and out, and go back over those areas again. Now that area he's in, I mean, I've not been there, folks. I've been California a few times, and I know areas, but I don't know this area. I do not know, so I can't comment on the actual terrain itself. But I've looked at some pictures of it. Beautiful, picturesque, gorgeous. Pure whiteout at the moment. The weather today is fine. It's from what I've seen using my phone to just do a weather sort of gauge on it. They should be out now. Julian Sands' son Henry is out with an experienced climber, mountaineer from that area. So they are retracing his father's steps. So they know the route he was taking, and the route's not hard. It's a major trail. This is where thousands, a week probably walk up and down this thing. But to go missing on it, even in weather like that, is still pretty odd. But this is the other thing, folks. Oh, and another thing is, Gonna lubricate the old jowls and the tonsils. Cheers, y'all. Right, this only came to light today, as in the last couple of hours, for me recording this. Julian Sands' phone was pinging 2 days after he went missing. He was reported missing. He was reported missing on Friday the 13th. On Sunday, the 13th, 14th, 15th, his phone is still pinging. So the phone company, under the authority of the police and the search and rescue, keep trying his phone, and they know, where that phone, you can triangulate that, you know where the phone is, but then after that, nothing. Which obviously his phone has died, the battery's died, but that's gonna happen, of course it's gonna happen. But 2 days afterwards, further away from where he was meant to have been, his phone is still pinging. So they're saying officially that he was still on the move 2 days afterwards, despite that bad weather. Okay, right, so that bad weather that came in, fog and snow, what a horrendous combination. It's all white and grey, you can't see anything anywhere. Up is down, north is south, you haven't got a clue where you're going. How was he moving in that? How was he? You would shelter down, you'd burrow in, you'd try to make a snow shelter. Well, that's what you'd have to do. But he's still moving throughout all of that. Or is he still moving throughout all that? Who's got his phone? Does that mean that Julian Sands has actually been on the move for 2 days since he went missing, reported missing in really bad weather? I don't know. Folks, you've got to remember that I'm not making any assumptions here. I'm not giving any theories. I've got no idea. I want this guy found alive and well, or at least well enough to survive and get over it and tell the story, and make more movies. That's what I want. I want his family to be happy and get a satisfactory, happy conclusion to this. But the simple facts of the matter are, the longer you are missing in weather like this, without the supplies you'd need for a 7-day trek, which he clearly did not have, because he wouldn't have been reported missing. You know what I mean? He went out clearly for a day or 2 days. If you're going to climb that mountain, which is, as I say, Mount Snowdon in North Wales, I've actually run up and down that several times in a day. I used to be very fit and do a lot for charity as well. And I was ex-Royal Marines, so I was often running up and down bloody mountains all the time, with great big friggin' Bergens on me back, and oh god, yeah. But so I've done that, so I know it's feasibly possible to get up and down these mountains in a day. But if you're talking really bad weather, and California has been buffeted by really bad storms in the last few weeks. Other people in this same area have gone missing, but then been found dead, having fallen down ravines and killed by hypothermia. Because weather's come in, it's a killer, folks. It's a killer. But he's gone out there, but clearly not with all the provisions to last 7 days, or even 2 or 3 days. But then again, we don't know. What did he have in his car? The police have took the car, and there could have been evidence in that leading. Well, he left this behind, which leads us to conclude that maybe he was going to come out for maybe 2 or 3 days, but he left that backpack behind. So, and all his provisions behind. So he was just going for a day hike and be back down within a few hours, which happens. So my gut feeling is that even though he's a mountaineer and he'd go and scale mountains and all that he was just going to go up that trail and be back, certainly, if not within that same day, the next day. Camp out overnight, but be back the next day. But wasn't to be. So his phone has been tracked as having moved But does that mean that he's moved the phone? Is the phone with him? Has someone else got the phone? Has wildlife got the phone and dragged it off? I don't know. If you can find where that phone is, they should be in there. You have these resources in America called parajumpers, PJs. These guys are forces. They're special. They are ultra special forces. These guys train in the Arctic, in the desert, in the jungle, urban landscapes, Europe, North Africa, tropical regions, everywhere, and they can fight like bastards. They go in. The specific thing is to take out rescue down pilots, bring them back from volatile, enemy forces who are hell bent on capturing them and doing horrible things. But these guys are the toughest. These are the guys that went out during the perfect storm of 1993. I've covered this before, and they are unparalleled heroes. Those guys would jump into this environment and find Julian Sands. Where's his phone right now? Where's his tracks? Well, the thing is, the tracks have been covered over. So, okay, we're given the leeway on the finding tracks because the snow has come in and covered everything, and it will do. Dogs should still be able to sniff out a track, a scent, something from the car, something from the home. They'll get something. I've not heard about the dogs. I've not heard if the dogs have been used. I would presume they have been, but there's been no evidence of this. So if I'm talking out of 10, I don't know what resources they've actually used. But you've got PJs there, Army, Air Force PJs, who can go into any environment, and they are robust, they're built, they're armed with the teeth, they can take on anything. They could land in the middle of the bloody South American jungle and rescue Arnie from a predator. And then they cuff Arnie for being like, "Oh, you pussy. You take this dreadlock fool down. Come on, get on the fucking chopper, have a chocolate bar, you're alright." These guys are the real deal. So sending them in, they've got signals from a phone. You can zero in on that. You can triangulate that. Get in there. Okay, the weather might still be bad. Although, as I said before, the weather apparently isn't that bad. So you can find where that phone is, the last known signal where it got pinged back, find that, and work outwards from that area. As I said before, it doesn't mean that that's Julian Sands, because that phone could have been taken from him, that phone could have been lifted by a raccoon or something. It could have been. You really don't know. Just because the phone's moving doesn't mean that he's moving as well. I presume it is, and then he's found somewhere else to hole up. But why didn't he just go back? Retrace his steps? Blizzard conditions, avalanches, disorientated. Could be a lot of things. So he could be all over the show. But folks, he could still be alive. He could actually still be alive. Miracle stories have been heard before. Those 13 lads who were stuck down in the cave, got them back, didn't they? Against all the odds. People who've been in floods and earthquakes, and they've been found deep under rubble for days afterwards, with no water, no food, no nothing, and crushed, and they bring them out alive, and they survive. So this sort of thing you can have a success story from this kind of epically horrific sort of story. So Julian Sands, mate, come on. You've played adventurers in movies before. You've played sorcerers. You've played all sorts of things. And, very effete upper class English fops. You've done that as well. That alone should get you through this. Because you're above all of this Californian madness and bad weather. Julian, come on. We are rooting for you. And for your family as well. Your son's gone out there, God, I love people that go out trekking and exploring and just I don't care what the weather's doing. I'm going out there. But time and time again, it's proved that you should care what the weather's going to do. Trust in your own abilities, your own resources, your own equipment, your own supplies. Trust in that. If you've been trained, then you've got an upper hand against the weather. But the weather will always come back with a vengeance. The best training in the world for any of this is Royal Marines and Special Forces. Arctic warfare training, mountain troop. That is exactly what you want to be doing. If you're going to go out there, you'll survive anything. Well, you should do. You'll know how to. You'll know what to do. But even most people that aren't even involved in the military, who live in these rural areas and go out hunting or they go out trekking and hiking, but they're born there. They've lived there. They know all the old timers. They know all the tricks and the routes and the things to do in certain scenarios. They should know what to do, and their confidence can be your best ally and your worst enemy. If you're confident, overconfident, that's going to trip you up. But if you've got confidence in your abilities and know the risks that you're taking, and to realise, I really can't go any further than this. I now need to either turn back or hole up somewhere and wait for this to blow over. It's all I can do. I send out signals. But it's that confidence in knowing, yeah, I've gone as far as I can go. Now I need assistance, or at least to wait till it goes away. Overconfidence. Nah, I can take this. Come on, I can do this in sandals and a vest. Now, I have climbed mountains in a vest and a kilt. I was going to say a kilt pointing up here and a vest down there. In a vest and a kilt. I've done it. But mountain boots, and I've run. And it's foolhardy. It is. But you're doing it with, I've done it with other people as well. So there's assistance there should need arise. And I don't recommend it. But I was younger, I was infinitely fitter, and I was full of testosterone. I still am full of testosterone, but the body just goes, no, can we just go around a corner, go to the pub? Just walk the dog in the park. We haven't got to go up the mountain today, have we, really? Learn to listen to your body as well, and the signals that your body gives out. Sometimes, I know people that live outdoors, they live pretty much outdoors all the time, and they go up and down mountains and do all this sort of stuff. And but some mornings they wake up and the body just says, no. It's like a little inner voice, the creak in the bones, the breathing's a little bit more captured, and they kind of realise, okay, I'll stay back down here. I'm not going to go up there today. It's listening to your body, listening to what happens. Your body's in tune with the planet. No one else ever seems to endorse this. Most of us seem to live in an urban or suburban environment. Cities, towns, just people everywhere, and social media, and you're watching telly, and you've got your multiplex, you've got your pubs and clubs and all, taxis, you've got Uber, you've got restaurants. Well, there's people that live further out, and the nearest they get to even a neighbour might be 50 to 100 miles away. So how do you think they gauge the day on what they're going to do? They listen to themselves, and they look at the weather, they look at the sky, they can gauge it, sniff the air, in some cases feel the ground. There's a spiritual connection between humans and the earth, even though humans didn't come from earth. No, don't get me started on that. But there is an affinity with nature. We all have that. If you're feeling down ever, depressed, one of the best tonics isn't this, by the way, is to go out into a park, into a forest, along the coastline, go up a mountain, whatever, just climb a hill, just go somewhere where there's trees and take your time, be slow about it, breathe, listen, smell. You'll go back hell of a lot happier than you went out. Okay, you might have caught hypothermia, you might be drenched. Wear appropriate clothing. What's that thing? There's never bad weather, it's just bad clothing, you know? Going out wearing the wrong gear. Because you can still go out in a massively blistering rainstorm. I've done it, and it's refreshing if you've got the appropriate gear on. And you're not going to go too far. You're not be totally exposed on top of a mountaintop. It's you against the elements, but I've combated you. I've got all the gear. What do you think a caveman did? A caveman, despite all the elements and the fact that you might have, well, what was it? Saber-toothed tigers were at the same time as cavemen. Dinosaurs certainly weren't. But other wildlife was there. And you had to compete with other tribes and other cavemen. And you had to try to... Clothing. You've got to kill something to get the flesh, the skin, the leather off that to make your clothes. You need clothes to combat the elements. So he did that. We all learnt that. Now we just go to the shop, buy stuff off the peg, or we buy it online. You know, but you have to find a way to dress up appropriately. If caveman could do it, we can do it. And yet you still get people that go out into mountain ranges and very hostile environments where the weather might be gloriously, blissfully sunny, right at the base, in the valleys and the ravines. But when you go only a few hundred feet up, the weather changes dramatically. The wind cuts in. The weather begins. Rain, sleet, snow, fog. World of hurt, folks. World of hurt. Julian Sands ventured out into that. I don't think for 1 minute that he didn't expect that weather to come down. But either way, a poor lad's gone missing, and I do hope for like a successful conclusion to this. They find him, and what a great survival story it would be. Wouldn't it be amazing? Julian Sands found alive, made a snow shelter, lived off frozen otter. You know, it would be amazing. It would be. But in all honesty, it doesn't look particularly rosy at the moment. Not after so many days now. Oh, the other thing is that I may have said before, but the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department and the search and rescue said there is no deadline on the search and rescue, which is good. So they're going to obviously, maybe right now as I'm speaking, making this video, they've gone out full force on the ground again, with all the amenities in the air, but there's loads of search parties on the ground as well. And they've got to give a good window of opportunity to try and find this guy. So anyway, folks, I think it's fascinating, this whole thing of people going out into the wilderness. We came from the wilderness, and we were almost certainly experts in surviving in it. But now we're all domesticated. We have radiators and central heating, you know. We have home deliveries. We are so mollycoddled now that going out, and people who do venture out, oh, let's just get something different in like a short skirt and like just a little sun hat, and they end up getting avalanched out, you know. It happens. This is what happens. Folks, happy always shall be Kilt-Man. The sun is still shining and the birds are still tweeting. So let's hope that my trek with Roxy the Wonder Dog, a husky who should keep me warm throughout any inclement situation I might find myself in. Yeah, right. Let's hope the weather stays. You guys stay safe and do not worry. If you're going to go out into the wilderness, you're going to climb mountains, wherever you are in the world, there's always a wilderness area that you can go and explore. And you should do. You should do. But be prepared. Look at the weather forecast, listen to the locals, look at the localized forecast, and then look at the bigger forecast. If you're going to be out for more than a day, the weather, you're going to get weather smacking in from other areas. New fronts coming in. Those Zac Efrons I mentioned, they come out of nowhere. They start singing to you and dancing around you, distract you, and then next thing you're lost in the fog and the snow. Bloody Zac Efrons. They can't trust them. But yeah, just be careful. And if you're in America or Canada or other territories where firearms are allowed, if you're going to go out into the wilderness, no matter how short your trek might be, you take a firearm. You've got to be protected. You don't know what's going to come at you. You don't. And it's just a wise move. In the UK, we can't do that. But we don't really have any major predators other than sadistic other human beings who might be out there, which you have got. But you can't take a firearm. So, tough shit on that one. But there's other things you can take. So, message me. There's other things you can take. But be safe. Protect yourselves. And no matter how intrepid you might think you are, I've gone out alone. I've wild camped alone. I've done it. And it's exciting and it's great. And there's nothing more spiritual or, soul awakening than lying out under the stars on your Jack Jones with that huge canvas of just starlit majesty above you. On the land, feeling your affinity with the ground and the trees and the woods and whatever is living out there. It's wonderful. You got someone else there. You start talking. It ruins the whole bloody thing. It does. It ruins it. People start yattering. Put some music on. You're like, oh, no. I just want to enjoy the moment. But if you're going to go out alone, you really, really have to know what you're doing, and you have to let people know. I'm going out this time. I'm setting off at this time. I should be back at this time. If I'm not, then you notify the authorities. That's what you got to do. And in the UK, it should be a lot easier to be found. All our mountain ranges are a lot smaller than anywhere else. The entire UK could fit into this area that Julian Sands has gone missing in. The entire bloody UK could fit in that surrounding valley. That's how vast these places can be. But people still go missing in the UK as well. A lot. And it doesn't get reported on. Or at least if it does, it doesn't last long in the news. So, and these poor people never get closure. Where did they go? Well, they've gone down a ravine, they've gone down a pothole, we're never going to find them. You should be able to find them. You have the amenities and the technology to find anyone. So, people shouldn't go missing. And yet they do. In incredibly, sort of increasingly, wildly strange numbers as well. Anyway, folks, Julian Sands, please come back alive. I have a feeling there'll be another video on this. It's kind of the one I'm dreading to do, but if I can highlight this sort of thing a little bit. And the guy to watch is David Paulides, Missing 411. I'm not saying that Julian Sands is part of the Missing 411 phenomenon. I'm not saying that at all. But people go missing all the time. And David Paulides, a great outdoor survivalist, an intrepid adventurer himself, many years in law enforcement, SWAT team, police officer, private investigator, and studied this phenomena of people going missing and knows park ranger system, knows the search and rescue system, knows how canines used, flare is used. He knows everything, and his advice, because he goes out all the time, what to have with you, it's invaluable. It's invaluable. I sound like I'm plugging this guy something chronic, and the guy doesn't even know who the hell I am, But I watch him, so if you watch me and you have an interest in any of this sort of thing, watch him. He knows more than I do. I've done tons of survival stuff, but I never encountered a grizzly bear. He has. I haven't done that. I've been in the area where grizzly bears were, but I never saw one. Tell you what, thankfully, I love them, but oh my God. Anyway, folks, I hope you know what shall be Kilt-Man. Please keep it cutting, keep it cutting, and be safe. Be happy out there. Enjoy the wilderness. Enjoy the outdoors. It's good for you. It's good for your health, your physical health, your mental health. It's good for you. We own this planet. We are this planet. Let's embrace it. Stop having people making laws. You can't go here, you can't go there. The land is your land. North American Indians, First Nationers, they had it totally embraced. You should listen to them. You should listen to them. Their stories, their legends, their sagas, their knowledge of the land and of the weather. There ain't no one that can compete with that. They've done it all for millennia. Millennia. They know more and understand more than we will ever know. Why? Because we don't listen to them. And we live in stupid big urban cities, the urban jungle. Folks, gonna see you all. Laters. And I would love it to be the good news about Julian Sands. I would love it. Come on, come on. Keep the faith. Stranger things have happened. Come on now.